right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Bakemonogatari, episode 8.
Okay.
So, Kanbaru has her whole left arm situation.
Mm-hmm.
There was the hilarious antics of her and Araragi and the various offers and comments that she made about him and to him. But they confirmed a lot of the theories of the things that we thought what was going on with her.
Right.
She's got wishes, and there's a demon or a devil or something.
Yeah, and she's in love with Senjougahara.
Right. Yes. Still. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. So without further ado, y'all, let's get into this. All right, everyone. We're going to start the episode in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Okay. Okay, that was the first wish.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Oh. These images were shown in the previous episode. At least one of them was. So this is when the thing basically started. Yeah.
Okay. So she's made more than just the wish to forget Senjougahara. So does that mean she has a wish left?
Oh, jeez. Oh.
Okay.
Dang. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, what would be the cost of that? Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. And then Senjougahara showed up. Wow. Because, she would destroy her. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, she loves Senjougahara now, so... Yeah, let's get to the... There it is, it is, yep.
Okay.
But before then, we have to learn the lesson about that by having 4 other people be assaulted by this thing's power. That's creepy. Right.
The wagging hair.
Yep. The unifying trait. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. End of flashback. Next is the theme song.
Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, Mr. Oshino gave us kind of the talk about oddities and stuff last episode. But if her mother gave this to her, basically, she's kind of just, it's kind of like giving a gun to your child to teach them about gun safety, Right?
Yeah.
But not teaching them how to use the gun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like...
But that's because you can't have parents in a show with high schoolers.
Right.
Parents cannot exist. They cannot contribute positively in any way.
The OPs in this show are so freaking good. Like, they keep switching them up, and yet they're all amazing.
Yeah, not just from a technical standpoint, but they're so relevant.
Right. So given that the mummy's hand, if it will, has a cost associated with making a wish, it's not necessarily going to be as simple as them wishing in a negative thing against the hand,
Yeah, it seems like they just can't make any more wishes. Or they shouldn't.
Yeah, I wonder what they mean by the scissoring going to... Okay. Yeah, so...
Cool, I totally caught all that.
Yeah.
Figurative.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's your hand. Well, okay.
I mean, yeah.
So did she make a wish and that's why it needs Araragi to die? Oh. Whoa. Yeah, but it's what she tried to do. Yep. Or maybe it fulfills it exactly the way it intends. Right.
Oh.
No, it makes her the fastest.
Right.
Because it had a limited number.
Mm-hmm.
So it beat up probably all the people that were faster than her. Oh.
Okay. Oh. Sure.
And they were the ones calling her slow and stuff, so...
Yeah.
No, but maybe subconsciously.
Okay.
And that had to, based upon the evidence of the results of what it did. Gotcha. Oh. Whoa. Dang.
Yeah.
Right. Jeez.
Although you could say that there's conflicting desires as part of what makes us human, and it's the ability to choose. Okay, so that's how he became a partial vampire.
Okay. Gotcha.
But why am I remembering this now?
That might have just happened in linear time, but it might not have. I mean... No, it happened now, yeah. So he's helping Shinobu.
Okay.
Oh, like basically giving her a source to bite from.
Gotcha.
Oh, because he'll die, but he won't really die.
Oh, gotcha. Right.
That would be a cool way to gimmick it. Oh. So we still don't know what the third wish is yet? Oh, powering up.
He powers up by giving Shinobu his blood. So is he like... Is he like a vampire slave of Shinobu?
Maybe. I think what it more is that he's going back to being more of a vampire.
Right.
And she's the only vampire around that can do that conveniently, like giving him some of the vampire venom or whatever.
Right.
Well, he's the main character of a harem show. He has to save the girls.
The plot demands it.
Yeah. Then we wouldn't get all the sweet banter dialogue.
Exactly. Even though you're about to die. Okay.
That's a surprisingly mature response. It's a cage match.
Where he just has to get the crap beaten out of him and hope he can survive.
I mean, yeah. All that tough talk going in, now when he's in here, he's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Oh my god, the animation! What?
Oh. Oh, he's actually trying to beat her?
Oh, what? What? Oh my god.
This is gorgeous.
Yeah, that's what he
She's
said.
She's accepting that part of herself, yeah. Multiple people. Shinobu's blade? She's got a sword too?
Alright.
I'm really excited for them to have Shinobu, like, show up and do some stuff. Right. This is true.
Liar. Liar.
Yeah. She thinks she has to, but she doesn't.
Jeez.
Oh. Nice twist on the Genki girl. Wow. Oh.
Oh my god. Very, very artistic censoring. Mm-hmm. Oh, you think you can't go on. Yeah. I wonder why.
Wait. But what would Senjougahara do? Like... I mean, I guess it's not the powers that are important, but...
Oh my god. Well, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
Yep.
Ah! She's so smug about this. Oh. Oh.
I love this music, and I love what's happening here.
Huh? Yes, yes. Ooh. Whoa. Right. As expected of a blank slate, protagonist, Okay. Uh-huh. Whoa. Whoa.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Dang. Yeah. She do it. Whoa.
Okay.
That's really cool. Magnificent bastard.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wow. And there she is. Oh.
Wow.
But come on. Well, yeah.
Of course.
That's why it's worth it, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ah, that was good. That was really good.
At least he'll regenerate his back.
Mm-hmm.
Hey! She still has bandages on her arm, though. Oh, okay. Can't? Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
That was really cool.
That was really good.
That was really good. Like we have the animation for one.
Yeah, the animation was
like
awesome.
Just
Absolutely insane, so
really
fluid
great.
and just wonderful. And the way they used the different colors to like censor a lot of the blood and everything was
intestines being grabbed.
Yeah, I was like, oh
boy, around the room.
Huh.
Oh my god. But this is a really cool, clever way to showcase what the vitriol that someone can have when someone steals away your true love, basically.
Right.
When you're that age and stuff, the thoughts that can go through your head basically are more than what you'd be willing to take action upon.
Right.
So when Kanbaru is, feeling bullied and stuff, she has hatred for these bullies. I mean, like, like they might have been just saying nasty words and being, cruel, verbally to her, but no, she if she had the power, the ability to act upon it, she would give them a piece of her, not her mind, but her left hand. Yeah.
That's right.
And then
so she did.
But then also in this case with
Araragi, she wanted. You're right. It's the jealousy and everything, and so she wanted him gone, so that way she could be with Senjougahara. Right. And I like that the wish was very much tied to the subconscious mind, because originally that was brought up as like a problem, right? It's tied to the subconscious mind. So there's things that you want, but the thing is, we want things all the time.
Yeah.
And and it might just be like a fleeting desire, but we don't it's not something that we would actually put the action behind in order to make it happen.
Right.
If we actually were consciously aware that was what was going to happen. But here that was basically removed, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes real. But because of that also means that the subconscious desire of why it's happening, the fact that it's the outcome is so that she can be with Senjougahara, that's a thing. So that way, when Senjougahara steps in and basically then suddenly the subconscious that is making the wish that there's a disconnect, there's a problem, wish can't be fulfilled, and then boom, and contract's null and void.
Yeah, the whole subconscious and actually conscious mind align, and you said something really cool about her accepting that part of herself, and I really like that, because if you have these desires in your subconscious mind, but they're something that you're unwilling to act upon, you're not going to deal with the problem of that those desires aren't good. They're going to stay there. They're going to remain until you accept that, okay, I am feeling those things, but I need to realize that it's better. I need to replace it with something else. I need to feel something else in there consciously. So in a way, it's basically like she realized that her subconscious mind isn't willing to go this far if it would mean, losing Senjougahara.
Right.
So in that case, she's realizing, I haven't accepted yet Senjougahara's rejection. In some ways, I'm just lashing out at the fact that this other person gets Senjougahara. And it's kind of if I can't have Senjougahara, no one can. And that's something she didn't really want, because when it came down to it, she would rather Senjougahara existed, and she get to spend time with Senjougahara, and she get to be near Senjougahara, and to
have Senjougahara be with someone else than to than to turn Senjougahara into a murderer, because then now she has to kill Kanbaru.
Yes. Yeah. Or she has to kill Araragi.
Well, no. Well, if Kanbaru killed
then
Araragi,
Senjougahara
then Senjougahara will have to kill her.
Yeah. What I really like here is cool is that the relationship built up with Senjougahara and Araragi is contextually so important in this whole scene here, because you could say that Araragi planned this whole thing properly, but in some ways he couldn't have counted entirely upon Mr. Oshino to relay the message properly. And he kind of goes over that in his own mind and stuff. But also I think he was surprised in some ways by also Senjougahara's response. I don't think he perfectly understood how in some ways dutiful, or not dutiful, but in some ways how committed she is.
Right. We can just sum this up as even though Senjougahara is Miss Tsundere, she hasn't said it, so I'll just come out and say it. Yes. Araragi is a baka. Yes, he is a baka through and through. Yes. He is just absolutely an idiot. Even when Senjougahara comes out and says things to his face, he just...
Subtext is baka.
Right, exactly. Well, subtext is baka, but he doesn't take the literal words that she gives to him and actually accept them and act upon it. And
that's why he's going to screw this whole thing up.
Right. Exactly.
It's because he's
been screwing it up, and Senjougahara has been
gracious with him.
Right, which is weird to say
to some extent.
Someone. Right, to some extent, because
she's been terrorizing him at least a couple times slightly, but it's all based around him not keeping his promises.
Right.
So this is a form of something that I find to be kind of interesting. We have a character, Kanbaru, here, who got rejected.
Yes.
And her whole story is about basically accepting the pain, the rejection, the choices that she's made, and kind of living with the consequences a little bit. And what I think that's really cool here is that she still is going to be okay. Like she's going to be okay eventually. Like
she's got a super arm now.
Yeah, in some ways she's made this weakness into her strength. But she has to live with the consequences. Araragi just has to go and get sucked by a vampire a little bit, and he can kind of breeze by without any consequences. But one of the things that Senjougahara seems to have a perfect grip on is her memory. And something that I find is interesting here is this whole thing of Araragi's decision to forgive. And I don't think we've ever heard the word forgive come out of Senjougahara's mouth. It seems like it'd be contrary to her character. Yes. Like, and what I'm noticing here is that if Araragi isn't careful,
which he isn't.
No, not at all. Like, if he doesn't learn, he's going to build up a slight debt, I would say, with Senjougahara.
Yeah, and if Bakemonogatari is focused on Senjougahara, then, like, because she does seem to be she was the first one introduced, I wouldn't be surprised if once this Bakemonogatari is over, then it shifts away from Senjougahara. Just going meta pigeon with this, just because what else? What is the reasoning for the breaks other than the girls? Is what I'm thinking.
I think time skips and
it could be that. But if it is a thing with the girls, then that could be sort of the story of Bakemonogatari. Even if the overall entire show is about Araragi, then Bakemonogatari could be about basically how Araragi, in relation to Senjougahara, is constantly, lying and not learning and not listening to her and, doing these sorts of things. And then if it did end up ending with, her basically just saying, I think that's too meta pigeon for me. I don't watch this type of stuff usually. So unless you're drawing this upon, kind of information that, No, I'm, I guess if I'm drawing it in connection to something, it would be like JoJo's. Like with JoJo's, each part is a different JoJo, right? So if the only reason why I could see them doing something like that with this is because there is a decent break in the story. And the story of Bakemonogatari is very much focused on, there's these other characters, it's really focused on Araragi and Senjougahara. Like even the last two, girls, their problems have more been resolved by Senjougahara than by Araragi.
Well, that's debatable. But the thing that I find to be interesting is that Senjougahara is a character, I would say, for the most part, that all the conflict stems around in some ways.
Okay.
But the main character is Araragi.
Right, yes.
And that, in some ways, I think almost puts them as a dual main character kind of setup.
Sure.
So I don't see Senjougahara leaving the cast or anything. If anything, I just see it as maybe a thing of where less of the conflict will revolve around specifically things with her, but I totally don't think she's going anywhere.
Oh yeah, I don't think she is either. I think she'll stay in the show for sure. But when I think about this, for as weird as this show is, it has a lot of method to the madness, right? And even if it's not apparent at the very beginning. And when I think about the structure that they've been doing so far with 2 or 3 episodes per new character, and and they'll introduce them, you won't really know what's going on, and then they'll unveil more, and then it'll be resolved and it'll be great, and then they're still around in the story. And then that seems very similar to the idea of there being a bunch of different series within the same overarching series, Bakemonogatari and all the other ones, whatever their names are.
I'm still thinking about it in terms of time, not necessarily in terms of
narrative,
in terms of narrative focus, because because there's obviously prequel stuff. This is a story that we were thrown into the middle of.
Right.
There are characters that we we don't know about and the only way we're going to know, I would say, more about them, particularly Araragi, is like by going back in time at some point.
Sure, just to see the whole thing of Shinobu turning him into a vampire and things like that. And,
just basically his origin story for the most part. So I see it maybe as a thing of where, like, kind of how is it Hanakawa or Kanakawa?
One of those two.
She was just kind of in the story in the beginning, and she came back a couple times,
and there's some sort of cat connection.
There's some kind of connection there between her and Araragi, and finding out what that is seems like it's going to be something when they go back in time, not when they continue forward in some linear thing.
Right.
So if anything, I could see it being a thing where they do kind of what you're talking about, where it's not actually a time-related thing, and it's just a perspective shift kind of thing. But I still think they're going to have it be primarily within.
I wasn't thinking it would be a perspective shift.
Oh,
just that there would be a shift in the narrative because of things that happens, and if the whole disconnect between how Senjougahara is and how Araragi is, and the fact that he is going to mess this up, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the end of this one.
Oh, sure. Okay, I just didn't think it would come so soon. Okay, then if we're going that route, then I could definitely see it happening. At some point. I don't know how soon I would predict it if I was in charge of the show.
Yeah.
But what I'm definitely seeing here is that Araragi is not taking Senjougahara seriously. He's not taking her commitment to him seriously. He is, in some ways, I think, because this is something that I think I predicted like in episode 2 or something, was that Araragi is a character who is the actual one with all the problems.
Right.
And all these other characters are just minor reflections of certain problems he has with himself.
To bring those problems to the surface.
Yes, and he is a big projector of his own problems in that regard. So therefore, that's why I think they're doing this kind of harem style girl of the week kind of narrative. It's not specifically because they want to have each kind of girl's story be just a narrative within itself, but it actually be a thing that showcases where Araragi's flaws are, and Oshino calling him out on some of his flaws here, I think is a foreshadowing of them deconstructing the whole harem protagonist thing by tearing apart Araragi slowly over the course of time and seeing what makes him tick.
Maybe that he has to just be, he's constantly seeking to be entertained by the next thing, and he's afraid of any kind of like I don't know.
Well, I mean, we can look at what kind of the stereotypes are of the harem protagonist, and that they're a bland potato with no actual like substance to them, and they just change based on which girl is in their environment.
And even then, they won't change permanently. It's just like a thing of they'll mimic.
No, that's they'll mimic. That's a great way to put it. It's basically the sociopath kind of thing, or the psychopath kind of thing, where you basically are just feeding off of the energy of the ones around you.
Right. Or put another way, they're pathetic and don't have a spine. So
we're not even giving them that level of competency in their brain and stuff. So the way that Araragi differs from that is that he does seem to be learning somewhat. He is listening. He is someone that has the wit and capacity to carry, I would say, the story and the conflict in a way. He is not a potato.
Although the fact that he can constantly get beat up and be fine afterwards does seem like it could be potentially poking fun at the whole potato aspect.
Sure.
Because he can be somewhere and there can be all this crazy stuff that's happening and it doesn't really affect him, right? He still comes out at the end of it exactly the same as he was before.
Right, because he's hollow.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. And then the story can be about how all these girls end up basically giving him the opportunity to actually change, but or maybe to, this sounds weird, don't take this in a sexual way, but to fill him with something that keeps him from being hollow. So an example would be Senjougahara is weightless, right? There's some cool metaphors you could probably take from that, and that Senjougahara is hollow, but she's anything But when you
Right.
let her start talking, the minute she starts talking, you're like, oh, there's actually tons of depth to this character. But when Araragi talks, if anything, he kind of just riffs off of the banter that the other person does, which is enjoyable for someone like Senjougahara, but it's not actually that, like, there's no, like, meat and carbs. There's no caloric value. There's no weight to it. Thank you. Yes.
Senjougahara was the weightless one, but maybe, like, in a more metaphorical sense, it's actually Araragi, which then fits with the harem protagonist thing.
And then we'll find out that this is all a dream, and that his sisters keep waking him up, and every time he goes on one of these adventures, it's actually him all inside his head, just doing one of his little, like, night journeys of a girl that he wish he could, be with and stuff, as he's
and analyzing his own problems. And there's actually, like, a therapist that keeps, like, talking to him, and he's just lying on a couch and being like, okay, so I think what the real problem is,
I mean, in some ways, I would almost like them to say, like, no, this is obviously not one of those stories where they could, like, break the fourth wall and be like, this is not one of those stories where, like, this is all a dream and everything that.
But it's gonna seem pretty close,
Right. If anything, what I like about the story thus far is that there's a million ways this can be interpreted with regards to Araragi's development, but there are characters in here that exist so much so, specifically Mr. Oshino, so much so for the purpose of the plot that it's almost eerily convenient in, like, a genius way that almost every episode ends with, or every story arc ends with, his sisters waking him up in bed. And it's like, wait a minute. Like, that's too obvious. It's too obvious to have this all be a dream, right?
Or is it saying that the waking him up, is basically...
is a metaphor for something else.
Right, is a metaphor for something else. Because, like, if you think about it, when we're asleep, short-term memory goes into long-term memory.
Sure.
Now, with Araragi and the way... This is maybe tinfoil hat stuff, or maybe it's not. But Araragi, the whole potato thing of all this stuff happening, and he's constantly not changed because he regenerates and reverts back to his, original self, right? But then, so waking him up, that's the point at which the short-term memory stuff should be going into long-term memory stuff, which is when the change should be happening. And then he's starting on a new day, which is, a metaphor for, like, all right, now we're going into the next arc, new girl, all that stuff, new issues, right? Right? So...
And here's another thing. He always ends up, like, out of his house. We don't really ever see him leave his house.
Right.
Like...
Yeah, which could be another metaphor for basically saying that he is aware of his own problems and he doesn't want to face them.
So he avoids them. But at the same time, he realizes that he has to face them. So he ends up encountering girls.
So when he encounters the people that have the problems that he projects onto them, and he sees that connection between himself, then he feels compelled to actually go there, because it's the whole moth to the lamp thing, right?
Because he wants to help them, not because it's their problem, but because he subconsciously identifies that that's his problem, and he's like, well, this will feel like I'm doing my work in order to save
even though he's really
myself.
Not.
Even though it's all muda.
Yep. Which maybe that's one of the things that
did we just crack the code of this show?
Possibly.
Like, we maybe did.
And what if that's one of the things that Senjougahara sees in him beyond just the being desperate for connection and love and all that stuff? Because it could be her basically seeing him addressing his issues in maybe a way that she didn't address for herself.
Because she's doing the same thing,
right? Well, she was doing the same thing, and she's seeing a compatible dysfunction.
Oh, because I definitely like resonate with the compatible dysfunction.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like, the whole idea of finding the perfect person, that's not what you want. You want the person that's perfect for you, right? You're perfect for each other, right?
Right.
You cover each other's bases, and the holes that you have, are, like, they're
right.
Circles and circles, not circles and squares.
I mean, hopefully, eventually, you end up being two whole people.
Right.
But
exactly,
the idea is that you shouldn't be waiting forever just to find a whole person.
Right.
Because
exactly, to latch onto. You want to go on the journey.
You might die alone.
Yeah. Right. So
I don't know why I'm laughing. That's actually kind of like a subconscious fear of mine.
That seems like the thing where it's like
yes, exactly.
But okay, this show.
This could be ending up one of my favorite kind of analysis shows, because there's something intrinsically valuable I find in rewatching. And one of the things I'm already wanting to do is be like, okay, can I just rewatch like the 5th episode again?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the 5th episode ties into this episode, and then that thing I said, I actually want to almost rewatch like my reactions and discussions to this part, because
put yourself back in the mindset of what it was
of
at the beginning, and then you can compare it to how you think about it now.
Yeah, because I think in general, one of the things that's brilliant about this show is that it's not actually giving us that much. Okay, let me backtrack here. What I mean is that it's not actually giving us hard concrete stuff.
Right. It's not collapsing the mystery.
It's like a feather. It's like I'm constantly getting tickled by feathers, and I'm like, okay, I know that this show is telling me things, but all I know is that I'm getting tickled by a feather, and I don't know. I don't speak feather.
By
so
constantly asking questions and not really ever answering them, or if it does, answering them with better questions.
Right. So
it makes it so you don't have to ever stop thinking about it, because you can come up with something and you're like, that's good, but that's not necessarily all of it. It's not the yay, okay, the test's over. It's like, all right, it's when you have like that open space and it's like write in an answer, for your best words, as opposed to like multiple choice or something. I don't know.
Sure. So what I feel about this, when we go into discussions on specific things, we'll see specific things that seem to line up with patterns built up earlier in the show, and we'll go, ooh, let's go deeper into this, and then the diatribe ends up going into something that we wouldn't have actually gotten into on just our first perceptions.
Right.
So therefore, actually, the discussion value of it goes up, because you need to discuss the thing, because it's not concrete. It's not concretely in a specific area.
Which in turn makes the watch order very important, because then it's not like a condensed, certain thing, you can get different things based on the context, because it's so sort of like free form.
Yeah, I guess you would end up moving towards specific path type conclusions if you had different contextual information based on the watch order.
Right.
And I would say in general, the way that this just starting with this, this is a core, right?
Yeah.
Starting with this core of the show, it's basically giving me this vibe of okay, so I'm supposed to be okay with not knowing anything. That sounds
right,
good. That sounds good. I'll start from there. Okay, the characters are dialoguing. Okay, now why are they dialoguing? Like, why is this show focused on dialogue?
Right.
What I think that means is that this is a show about characters. This is a show about getting deep into characters. And in order to get deep into characters, we need to spend a lot of time with just characters.
Well,
and that means, in general, if this show goes on for a long period of time, that we're either getting a lot of characters, or we're getting a lot of characters and we're getting very deep with a small number of characters. And I'm going to go out on a limb there and say it's the second one, just because it gives the show the benefit of the doubt that Araragi, and at the very least, I think Senjougahara, or like you predicted, maybe, other girls at some point, they will go very deep into what makes them tick beyond just the 2 to 3 episode mini arcs.
Right. One of the things that I've noticed a lot with stories whenever they are low on dialogue is that they're usually very straightforward. That's the action flicks, right?
Yes.
Where it's more about all the stuff of showing, the stuff that's happening.
Go from this set piece to this set piece.
Right, exactly. And it's a lot more obvious with books, because with books, you can have the books where they go into, and it can be beautiful, amazing prose about, the descriptions of the scenery and, and everything and all that stuff. But when you get into the dialogue, that's where you can get into the more trippy, ambiguous, or whatever stuff, because that's where the characters can be wondering about things and have unclear ground for the characters.
Limited perspective,
unclear ground for the readers, and then the reader has to think about things and explore it and all that stuff. Whereas with the description parts, even if you're doing it in a format of showing, engaging the senses and all that stuff, you are still telling in a sense, because you're describing something concrete, as opposed to talking about something where then there's all the perspective and bias and everything.
Yeah, and then nothing is real.
Right, exactly.
This is actually part
you're all going into the headspace of the characters.
This is probably one of the reasons why I think it's like a base level, boring theory that this is all a dream.
Oh, because then it collapses everything, and it's like, no,
no. I mean, it's too easy. I'm sure, yes, it would collapse everything, but also just that the theory is sure, But the thing, it could be. It doesn't really matter if it is or isn't. The main point is that this is something where the characters are being revealed, unveiled, and giving opportunity to express who they really are.
Right.
And even if the space, or you could say the backgrounds, don't matter, the set pieces don't matter. Actually, this show denies that by putting in random all kinds of other stuff in the background, being like, hey, this background, it matters.
Right.
Don't blink.
You don't necessarily know what it means,
this
but
matters,
you know,
this matters. So like there's like specific things that I almost don't want to discuss to let you guys almost know that yes, I have been paying attention. There are specific things I can tell that they're hinting at and in the background, and not just kind of the things where like
flash. or the school desks that are constantly flying up when they were doing the fight or things like that.
Right. Which, by the way, that fight was awesome. That fight was pretty cool.
And here's the thing. If that fight was awesome, and it was awesome. Well, they talked about certain things in this episode that made me excited for potential fights in the future. Because they mentioned Shinobu having some awesome sword.
Right.
And, I mean, color me interested in seeing an animated, like a fight animated with this level of animation with like this little vampire girl with the sword. Like that seems like it would be one of the most entertaining, amazing, awesome spectacles ever.
Yeah, and what would she be fighting that needs to require a sword if she's already like a vampire, like a true vampire?
Yeah. I mean, and would she still be wearing the helmet thing? Like, I think she would.
I think the helmet thing is
a gimmick.
It's a gimmick. It might have some meaning, but I kind of think it's a trope thing to show how to build on the whole she's nothing kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha. I thought you were saying it was protection against head pats.
God, Jacob. Oh man. No, I think that actually it's the kind of thing of you see the. Okay, it's a helmet. You could think of like war.
Sure.
The child sitting on the side of the street with like the soldier's helmet.
Oh yeah, that definitely evokes an image.
That's a very specific emotional turmoil, trauma, past.
Oh yeah,
stuff
that
happened.
might be what it is exactly. Because she's nothing and she's a vampire, so she could be as old as right?
I mean, she could be as old as whatever, but the main thing is, I think that it's the show of someone who's lost something, who's lost and become nothing,
right?
And it's the kind of thing that I think it's supposed to evoke a more sad image rather than a cute image.
Yeah.
And there's something inherently cute, I think, about the little girl like having the helmet that's kind of like a military helmet or a fighter's helmet or something, and you're like.
Right, it's the idea of it makes you think of like the kid that sees the the parent, like that wants to be like the parent, But then there's the sad aspect because if it's a war thing, not just like, trying to put on their shoes or something like that, then it's probably didn't come back.
Right, and that's why I think in general it's probably a gimmick. But if there was any value to it, it would be something tied to her past and the things that she's had to deal with. And yes, if she's a vampire and if she made. I don't know if she did make.
I think she made Araragi
a vampire. Then she's probably pretty old. Like not necessarily like
Yeah, she's at least older really than she looks. But probably.
She's. Yeah. I would say she's definitely old. So,
Yeah.
Y'all, it's a good episode.
Yes.
Very, very good highlight of the show. Very good climactic end to the arc with Kanbaru.
Yep.
I would say if in general the thing that we didn't really mention in the discussion this episode was kind of how Kanbaru was basically put into a position where she was able to confess and give and tell
let it all out.
Senjougahara how she felt in a vulnerable state rather than in a state where she just either run away or wouldn't be with her and stuff, and that was something that I would say was rather wholesome, but it was something that I would say was just representative of her accepting that the rejection is something she can live with, and
right.
she'll be okay with that.
Yeah, because when they had her make the first like confession, I might be wrong, I might be remembering this wrong, but it felt either not like a definitive confession or a definitive rejection. One of those two were both.
Yeah.
So the fact that they had this here and it was very clear what was going on.
Yep.
That was really good.
I mean, but dang, Senjougahara, you gotta prostrate yourself, interlink the fingers, and like
straddle her while you reject her. It's like okay, all right,
yeah. Okay. I mean, you're not weightless anymore, so she's feeling that. She's feeling that press. You know what I mean? Like, just saying.
Last thing I will say is that with the whole dream thing, with how it sets it up, I feel like you could basically just assume that this is a dream, and then basically say, yeah, but continue it, because the usual problem with the whole idea of it being a dream is then they stop the dream, right?
And then none of it matters.
Whereas as opposed to this, where if it is a dream, I feel like I like the headcanon that it is. It's a good dream.
Yeah,
it's a
yes and thing.
Exactly.
It's not a yes but thing, because then it just kind of cuts off the
the
story potentially.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good stuff. Jinx. So y'all, if you want to see the next episode's reaction, Bakemonogatari right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. Any level of support gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us about stories or just hang out and do whatever. Yeah. And Jacob's going to promote something here real quick.
Indeed. So my sci-fi novel Battle Lines is still available for pre-order. Link to the Kickstarters in a pinned comment down below. It won't be available for all that much longer, so you should definitely get on that. Characters are absolutely amazing. The dialogue also, so if you like dialogue,
dialogue.
Yeah. But yeah.
So if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.